Hello, and welcome to this live collective weekly reading. Give me 1 second so I can pull this up on my phone and make sure I'm seeing everything. Okay. Okay, so yep, as I said, this is the weekly collective reading for astrology and tarot. Please let me know if you can hear me okay and see the screen. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep going. I decided to do this on my laptop instead of going down and hooking up to everything because I feel like it doesn't really help anyone hear me better anyway. So, yeah. This is for today, December 19th through Sunday, December 25th, Christmas. I hope you guys are all doing good. Um, we have a lot going on this week, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so today, the moon is in Scorpio still, and it is making a conjunction to the south node and opposing Uranus. So let's see here. So right here is the moon, right next to the south node, and then it's making this opposition over here to the north node and Uranus. And then this is also making a. Wait, what? Okay, sorry. This is also making a sextile here between Venus and Capricorn. And so, first of all, when we keep talking about every time the moon hits Scorpio, we're kind of reflecting on the past at this point in time. And we're reflecting on like the baggage that we've carried from the past. And at this point in time, our relationships are kind of like mirroring that for us. It's showing us our growth, it's showing us where we've changed, and it's showing us where we still need to change. Also, people might be kind of triggering those shadow aspects at this point in time. And also, like, our perspective on the things that we have been through in the past. That's why I wrote here how we feel about our past determines our future. Because, like, for instance, if we're looking at our past as like in like a negative lens, like, well, I always messed up when I tried to do this, so why should I do it again? Obviously, that is going to be determining your future, because why should you try again if you've always messed up, you know? But if you shift your perspective into like, wow, all of this has actually taught me a lot, and now I know if I try again, I'm less likely to fail at this point because of all of this experience that I've gained throughout my failures. Also, I put here Chiron is making a sextile aspect to Mars. So, right here we have Chiron, sextile aspect here to Mars, which is actually forming a yacht as well to the moon today. So I think that a lot of this is going to be healing, obviously, when we're thinking about the past and everything, but also asking ourselves if our thoughts are matching our identity. And the reason why I wrote this is because Chiron Chiron in Aries is really about ego wounds and identity wounds. And when we grow and change as a person, sometimes we can catch these thoughts that are like remnants of a time in the past, of a personality that we once had that we're trying not to have anymore, that we just simply don't have anymore. Um, so this is really about kind of like taking accountability for how your thoughts determine your actions. And if they are matching this new embodiment, this new person that you are trying to be at this time. And also, this Venus here also makes a square to Chiron. And I wrote staying true to ourselves while relating, because Venus has, is about relating. It is about relationships. It is about like what we love and value and where we place our energy. And so while we're wearing this new person, while we're wearing this new identity that we're carrying forward, how do we stay true to that while also relating to other people? Because people will sometimes try to drag you back and put those limiting beliefs back in your head, put those thoughts back in your head from a time in the past. And this also kind of like reminds me like you can change your mind, you can change who you are all the time, all throughout life. So, for instance, if you come across a person who's like, you never used to say that, or you never used to act that way. Like, so what? You act that way now. You talk like that now. You think like that now. It doesn't matter what you did in the past. All that's there is to teach you things. Also, while Venus is making the square aspect to Chiron, it is also making a trine to the North Node. So, this is again differentiating those relationships. Those people that come to you and say, you didn't used to act that way, you didn't used to talk that way, are they really helping and aiding you along this journey towards the future? Towards where you're trying to go, towards attainment, or are they trying to hold you back into this past? So, this is what this is asking you. Relationships is a high point, healing is a high point, and where we've been and where we're going is a very high point for today. Today is pretty heavy energy, honestly. So in the tarot for today, we've got blue, she who loved once, and I put explore your feelings of vulnerability. So again, this is like when we go back to those relationship aspects that we just talked about, we might lose people along the way if they're not there to aid us along the growth along the place that we're trying to go. Some people are going to fall off along the way. And then again, we're going to have to look at our perspective on that. Are we going to go, well, I'll never love again because every time I've loved in the past, I've been hurt. No, that's your vulnerability that's trying to talk to you, and you need to listen to it, and you need to explore that feeling, and you need to almost like make amends with it so that way you are feeling strong enough to try again, strong enough to view it from a different lens, and to not let the past hold you back from the future. We also got the Seven of Pentacles, and I think that's perfect to go along with this because, again, we're kind of like assessing everything today. So, after all of the energy that you've put forth, does the return of investment match what you had once dreamt of? So, for instance, if we're talking relationships here, let's say you have a friendship and you think about all the things that you've done in this friendship, all the work you've put towards it, this could be many things, all the times you've given advice, all the times that you have supported them, all of the times that you've given them money, all of the times that you've bailed them out of situations. If you're looking at all of that, does that match when you made that friendship, in the first place? You obviously have this idealistic picture in your head of what that friendship could be, of what that friendship could blossom into, of what that person could be and what they could blossom into. And maybe you're seeing their higher self at that time. Are they getting there? Is all of the work you've put towards this person, is that pushing them in the direction of them reaching their highest potential? Because if you've been friends with this person for 5 years and you can't really see how much they've changed in the course of that 5 years, then what are you doing? Are you wasting your time? And that's a question to be asking yourself, especially today, but also I feel like a broken record with this Mars retrograde. That really is what this is all about. What are we placing our energy into that is a waste of our time? Okay, let's move on to Tuesday, tomorrow, December 20th. And so the moon is still in Scorpio, and now it is making a trine to Neptune. So, the moon will eventually leave Scorpio this day as well, but towards the middle of the day, it's going to make this trine aspect here over to Neptune. And Neptune, since it has come out of retrograde, it's moving forward. And so it is doing its job of revealing these spiritual truths. And when the moon makes a trine aspect to it, these are truths that come from our emotions. So be paying attention to how you feel on this day. There's most definitely some kind of truth behind your feeling. And I think that that's going to really help guide you on in any kind of decision you're making or any kind of confusion that is going on right now. And there is a lot of confusion going on right now. So it's really a time to be paying attention to how you feel about everything. Now, Jupiter also has now moved back into Aries. So remember, in its retrograde position, it went back into Pisces. Now, once again, Jupiter is also out of retrograde, and now it is moving forward as well, and it has moved back into Aries. And I've been seeing this all throughout the year that with Jupiter in Aries, it's really all about fortune favoring the bold. And I mean that as in like, it's like that aligned ego of like I know who I am and I know what I want and I'm going to go after it. And that is also why I wrote here authenticity is where you will find abundance, because if you are, it's like that fake it till you make it shit isn't working anymore. It just isn't working anymore. So you need to be placing the energy into things that are what you really want. That's how you really feel. That's what you really want to say. And as you take that energy and allow it to guide you forward, I think that we are all going to see the luck and abundance come out of that. But also the trick here is that Chiron is also in Aries at this point in time, and it's retrograde. So you're still going to feel that pain inwardly, and it's about how you face that and how you heal it and how you turn things around in that area of your life. The tarot for Tuesday is, first of all, a cloche, she who regrets. And I put, consider your words carefully before you launch those arrows. And so what I mean by this exactly is like, as we are getting these emotional truths revealed to us, right? We have to decide whether we're going to take that and we're going to react to it or we're going to respond to it. So, for instance, let's say that on Tuesday you realize that this friendship is a waste of your time and you feel like you need to say something. How Don't just say it right away. Take some time, maybe journal, write it down, write your feelings down and figure out how you can say that in the best way possible, in the way that's going to leave the least amount of hurt, in the way that it's going to do the highest amount of good for all involved. We also got the Five of Cups, and I put accept what is, look at the reality of the situation, and take accountability. Like he is over here. These cups represent the truths being revealed, right? And so these three hard truths have fallen over, and he's just so hyper focused on them that he's not looking at these other two cups that are behind him, trying to show him some more positive truths. So, like, look at the reality of the situation. Like, yeah, I lost 3 cups, but I still have 2 cups. And take accountability as well for, like, let's say you are going to address this relationship issue. Take it, maybe that's the best way to handle a break in relationship or a leaving behind a relationship is by telling them how you feel, but also taking accountability for what part you played in the relationship. Like, for instance, if you were the person that was, putting forth too much effort into a person without really seeing any results, take accountability for that. Like maybe you have bailed them out of facing their own karma and lessons for all these years. And that's your fault too, just as much as it's their fault. So it's time to get real on Tuesday. Wednesday, December 21st. So now the moon is going to move into Sagittarius and we are officially in the dark moon phase before the new moon. And so this is a great time in the dark moon phase to be releasing anything that is blocking abundance, because in Sagittarius season, that's what we were looking for. We were in a cycle of cultivating abundance, higher learning, and the meta perspective of everything. And so we are about to leave that cycle behind and start a new cycle. And so at the very last point in this cycle, get rid of anything that is still lingering throughout this whole month of journey that we've been on. This is also the winter solstice. So Wednesday would be a really great day for making a list of things you want to rid your life of, as well as making a list of things you want to bring into your life. And the list of things that you want to rid your life of, make sure you go outside and burn that. Set intentions for the next 6 months into the summer solstice, okay? You're going to see those kind of similar themes repeat. Think back to the summer solstice and what kind of themes or things were going on in your life at that point in time. Also, any other kind of like rituals that you like to do. Wednesday is a really great time for that. It's also, about facing the darkness. It's the longest night of the entire year. So be thinking that as well. So for the tarot on Wednesday, we got Eterna, and that is she who becomes. So this is that passion to transcend to the next higher level. And once again, when I talked about looking at your past from a perspective, look at it from a perspective of strength. All of those things that you've went through have given you experiences which are equal to tools in your toolbox that help you into the next level. You're not leaving it behind in a way that you will never remember or be able to access it energetically again. It will still always be there in your memory, in your energy, in your cultivated personality, right? But we're not going to stay there. We're going to go to the next level. We are going to become this next person that we are now ready to become. Along with this, we got the Knight of Swords. So I put here, consider why you need to say something. Remember here when we talked about right here, when we talked about considering your words carefully, we are apparently still in that same energy and needing to ask ourselves, like, these words like that we are going to say or that we feel the need to say, are they coming from a place of fear or from a place of love? Once again, we are going to be responding, not reacting. And I've been seeing that a lot with like just out there in the world with people. They just have this urge to like just make it happen. Like everybody's sick of sitting in this like in between energy that we've all been feeling for a while. They're like, oh, I gotta do something. And that's all fine and dandy as long as you're not going to regret it, 2 weeks from now, 6 months from now. So make sure whatever kind of action you're taking in your life is from a place of love for yourself or for others and not from a place of fear. Fear of failure, fear of vulnerability, or fear of losing someone else. Okay, Thursday. So now the sun has officially moved into Capricorn, and as soon as it does, it makes a square to Jupiter. This one is okay. Sun here, square to Jupiter. So this is a cardinal square. So this is like when we're getting ready to start something new. And I wrote here, are you building your own legacy or someone else's? And the reason why I wrote that is because, once again, here we have this identity thing going on. And honestly, Capricorn is all about building a legacy. And when we have this square going on, it could be that confusion, like this is like saying like I've always wanted to be a successful car salesman. And then you look at it at this point in time and you're like, actually it was my dad who always wanted me to be a successful car salesman. I never really cared about it in the first place. So those are the kinds of things to be thinking of on Thursday. Also, Venus is going to make a trine to Uranus right here. I put your environment brings unexpected progress. You really, like, this goes back to that phrase of, like, you are who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with very predictable, boring people who want to stay the same, who fear change, who fear growth, then how are you, like, you're always going to trigger them. You're always going to scare them. But if you surround yourself with people who are also on a path towards progress and change, then they're going to be acting in ways that that you're not expecting, right? Because they're changing their mind frequently. You know, um, they're thinking of new things to say and do, and they're going to bring those gifts along the way to you as well if you're along that path with them. And this is also like unexpected people. I want to say here too, like don't make assumptions about people. Be open and vulnerable enough to really feel people out. Figure out who they really are. The moon is also making a square to Neptune, and so we want to be careful of those delusional things coming back again from the emotional world. So, once again, when emotions come up, we need to be differentiating the truth versus the delusion here, which goes along with what I said as well about building your own legacy versus someone else. Do you feel this way because someone else made you feel this way, or is it you who really feels that way? And the tarot for Thursday, we got Adaz, which is she who resists. So again, this is like I said about people wanting to stay in the same place and do the same things. You need to be fighting for yourself and resisting those who would change who you are. If you figure out what feelings are true about yourself, then fight for that. Also put fight for injustice. And injustice would be people trying to change other people, or people pushing themselves onto the sovereignty of another person. Like, well, I feel this way, so everyone around me should also feel that way. That is not true. That is a delusion. We also got the hangman, so stop chasing what you think you don't know. Quiet the mind and listen. Hangman is like that means Thursday would be especially with the dark moon phase as well before we get to the next day of the new moon. This would be a great time to just be like staying at home and meditating and journaling and releasing and shedding skin and making decisions and plotting out how you're going to act on those decisions, etc., etc., etc. Take time to sage your house, take a bath, take a walk, eat good food, all the things. And then Friday, we have the new moon in Capricorn. So on this day, Mercury is going to make a semi-sextile aspect to Saturn, and I put pressure for purpose and traditions worth keeping. So one thing that I think about a lot when it comes to this Capricorn energy versus this Aquarius energy, which we are going to be moving mostly into this Aquarius energy by the new year, because a lot of people, they think about right now being the new year, which is funny to me because we actually astrologically we still have a whole other season to go through. Like Capricorn sets off the last cycle before the technical new year astrologically in Aries season. And by the time we get to Aries season, even Pluto isn't going to be in Capricorn anymore. Everything is going to shift forward. And so I like to think of Capricorn as like the conservative mind. That's the one that wants to keep things the way that they were, who wants to conserve things, basically, right? It's the tradition holder. It's the bookkeeper of history and time, and shows you the evidence of why you should hold on to these things and why you shouldn't move forward with these things, right? As to where Aquarius is more of like the liberal mind. It's the progressive. It's the one that fights the traditions that no longer serve, that does want to move forward, that sees the new future, that is idealistic, envisioning utopia, wants to just keep pushing forward. And so when we have this new moon, I think we're going to be thinking of that, right? Like, what do we want to keep versus where do we want to move forward? But I think that we should take this new moon cycle, this cycle in Capricorn, before everything moves into Aquarius, where we're going to be really forward thinking and actually take account of like where we have, oh my gosh, of where we have been, and of where we have been, and what out of that we do want to keep. Okay. The friends we're going to take forward with us. The thoughts we're going to take forward with us. The parts of our identity that we're going to carry forward with us. The habits that we want to continue with. And we're going to cultivate those now. There's also going to be this deep pressure because we're going to have a cycle that is Saturn ruled. And that is also why I say there's this duality between, what we want to conserve and what we want to push forward with, because Saturn is in Aquarius at this point in time. So there is this pressure, like in general, but I think that this is going to be the kind of pressure that, again, is worth, like, what is worth keeping versus what is worth, like, rebelling against. All right, I think that's all I want to say. And so the tarot for Friday is She Who Changes. Love it. I put the only constant is change, and we need to stop resisting change. And I put here also with it, like, she has this crescent moon on her forehead, and I think that that's perfect because it represents the cycles of the moon. Like, for instance, we were just in that cycle of Sagittarius, and now we're moving into the cycle of Capricorn, and then after that it's going to be the cycle of Aquarius. Like, the moon is always changing, it's growing and depleting, and we're also growing and depleting, and we need to just flow with that and move with that and stop trying to resist that, which is a big thing about Capricorn energy in general, is that resistance to change. So keep that in mind. And then we also got the Chariot, and I love this as well because when it comes to, like, moving forward and pushing forward, what is going to carry us along in that? I mean, like, it's not like the Chariot is the thing carrying the guy forward. Is your environment the kind of environment that helps carry you forward? Are your friends the kind of friends that help carry you forward? All questions to be asking I would even be asking yourself this during the dark moon phase, honestly. Okay, Saturday. So Saturday, the moon is still in Capricorn, and it's going to move past Venus and Mercury and Pluto. And I think that that's going to have us kind of feeling out those, like, again, what do we want to conserve and keep? What kinds of like relationships are we going to be carrying forward with us? What kinds of ways of speaking and thinking are we going to carry forward with us? What needs to transform out of that? What is going to be let go of? Mercury is also going to make a sextile aspect to Neptune. So while all of this is going on, make sure that you're talking with your spirit guides. Make sure that you're talking to spirit in general, like whatever that is for you, whatever your beliefs are. If it's like, praying or meditating or writing things down or dreaming, journaling your dreams, all stuff like that, because that's going to kind of give you more insight into what needs to happen when it comes to this cycle. The tarot we got for Saturday is Perpetua, and that is She Who Aches. And I wrote, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Um, Along with this, with the Queen of Wands, once again, I think this is kind of like your perspective on things that you go through. We are all going to encounter pain and loss and heartbreak and grief in general, but it's about like how we are responding to those emotions. Are we allowing ourselves to get stuck there, or are we still looking forward and moving on, basically? We also got the Queen of Wands with this, and I put the expectation of you and others around you to be on the journey of attainment. And so this goes along with that pain, right? Because others might fall off of the path. I know I've said this before, but like as you grow and evolve and change, the people around you also have to grow and evolve and change, or naturally they will just fall out of your life. They're going to, like, it sucks because, like, you love all of these people, but I even know for me personally, it's just like, even looking at those people now, I'm like, there's no way that I could have those people in my life right now, while I'm trying to do the things I'm trying to do. It wouldn't work. And I love them to death, and I will always love them. But unfortunately, I can't sacrifice myself and my own attainment for these people. Okay. Then Sunday, Christmas. Also, um, all this stuff going on Christmas Eve. So be thinking about that when it comes to the holidays and being around your family at this time of year. Could be a lot of, like, emotional stuff coming up, and that's okay. Just remember, respond, don't react. So Sunday the moon moves into Aquarius, and I love this for Christmas. I mean, it's hope for the future. It is looking at that progression again. And I mean, Aquarius is the star card, so it is all about wishes and hopes and desires and that idealistic thinking and that bigger picture thinking. And that really helps us heal from the pain of the past. So the tarot for Sunday is Carly, She Who Frees, perfect for Aquarius moon. You can change your mind at any time. Who holds the chains? I put, and I love this again from what we were talking about at the beginning of the week. You can change your mind and change who you are at any point in time in your life. You don't have to hold yourself to some standard of who you used to be. Who cares? Who freaking cares? And I wrote, who holds the chains? Because if you're freeing yourself, who's the person that held you captive in the first place? Was it an actual person? Was it your own thoughts and beliefs? Like, who needs to take accountability for this? And what needs to be fought against and fought for? We also got the Nine of Wands, and I put, time will never return. Where are you placing your time? Once again. Once again. Time is precious. You're never going to get it back. Time will always keep moving forward, whether you do or not. Are you going to want to miss all these things that could be coming your way? All right. So then we have the summary for the week. So here's all of the cards that I drew put together, as well as 3 signifier cards for the entire week. We got the Five of Pentacles reversed, overcoming adversity with your own willpower. Perfect for Jupiter in Aries and Chiron in Aries, and perfect for all of this Capricorn placements. Like, we are just climbing, right? We're moving forward and we're climbing, and we're not letting other people hold us back. Other people, places, and things. King of Swords reverse. This is all about the words that cut to the point effectively and standing your ground. Again, think about the words you say and how true they are and how well they're going to be received by the other person. If you're saying these certain words and the other person is not taking it the way that you're wanting them to take it, then you need to readjust your words. Maybe you need to get more harsh. Maybe you need to get a bit more blunt, because you need to be getting your point across at this time. We also got the King of Cups. Make decisions from a place of how you feel and what brings you joy. Your happiness is up to you only, so you need to be drawing boundaries around this clearly. Again, if people are trying to project their own wants for you onto you, that is not going to make you happy, because that is not your authenticity and that is not who you really are. So you need to get real about that and face that objectively. And the quote for this week: failure is success in progress. Again, how do we view the things that have happened in the past? What is our perspective on those things? Our failures have given us the tools to move forward, to give us a more likely chance of not failing again. And if we do, so what? We'll try again, right? We're going to continue to stay vulnerable and open and move forward in our life. This quote is by Albert Einstein. All right, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season, and I hope that you're surrounded by love and joy. And I hope that you are seeing all of the things that you have to be grateful for. I'm still running my end of the year special, so if you still need a last minute Christmas gift, please go check those out. If you're not sure where to find it, just send me a message. And also keep in mind that this was a collective reading, and if you would like a personal reading, again, reach out to me or also book on my website, which is linked in the description box above. So thank you guys so much. Again, I hope you are all doing great and wonderful. I would love to hear from you. Send me a message. Let me know what's going on in your life. And I hope that you guys all have an awesome week ahead. Thank you. Thank you.